Ale, ¿qué dijiste? What?
You're my angel.
I'm your angel, and you're my angel, papi. Okay, I love you.
Hello everyone out there in YouTube land. My name is Rudy Avalos and welcome to my new YouTube channel by the name of Ale Max. Now, the reason I named my channel Ale Max is that I decided to name it after my two young sons. I have two boys. One is 25 months old. He's right here. He's my oldest. His name is Alessandro. And then my second child is 7 months old. Here he is. His name is Maximiliano. Now, the reason I decided to begin my YouTube channel is that I decided to chronicle my life as I go through a divorce and custody battle with my wife. What I think that makes this, my case, very unique is that my wife and I were what I would say good. We were probably better than good. And let me go back a little bit so you guys will understand. My first son, Alessandro, he was born here where we reside in San Antonio, Texas. I was the only one in the delivery room with my wife, as you can see by this picture. Now, I was so proud of her. We had to do in vitro fertilization for both of our babies. So my wife and myself, but especially her, she went through a lot for us to get pregnant. And I really admired her, and I was so happy and so grateful for her, because she was making me a dad. One thing that I've always wanted, and one thing that I know in my heart I was born to do. I was born to be a father. That's why what I'm going through right now, it's very hard. But she made me a father, and I'll always have a sweet spot for her in my heart for that. 18 months later, we decided 18 months later, our second child, Maximiliano, was born. He was born August 2nd of 2019. And being that for Alessandro, it had only been her and I in the delivery room. For our second child, my wife began telling me how she was having complications. And I would always go to every doctor's appointment with her, so I've never heard anything about complications from the doctor, but she did tell me that she was having complications. So I decided to go, I one day asked her and I said, hey, well, why don't we go and have our second child in Laredo, Texas, so that way you'll be near, with your mom. You could be with your mom, you can be with have more people in the delivery room than just myself, for support. I loved her and I wanted nothing but the best for her. So lo and behold, that was the worst mistake I could have ever done. Because as soon as my wife got to Laredo, Texas, where she's from, not immediately, but soon after that, I think she went to Laredo, I think like July 27th or something. But July, August, I started seeing like differences. Or I don't know if July 27th, but I do remember it was July. And I started seeing the difference from her, like more distant. Little did I know that everything in my life would change. I don't know how, I don't know what happened, but after my wife spending some time in Laredo, as you can see, I have a lot of emails and text messages. We still stayed in contact, but I did see a change. For instance, she would always tell me different dates of when the baby was going to be born. So her mom and her sisters were there, but she kept me from it. Up to this date, I still haven't signed the birth certificate. She would always send me to different places. I'm not from Laredo, she is. She would send me to different places where I was going to sign the birth certificate, and they always ended up being wrong. And all of this in other videos, I will show you guys proof. I have it in text messages, and I still have the text messages coming between her and I, our exchanges, where she gives me like addresses and tells me, yes, I went there with mom, they're waiting for you, just tell them you're there to sign. I would go there and they would tell me, what are you talking about? We don't do that here. My wife on September 27th, she took my oldest son to Laredo and never came back. My baby boy was in Laredo, and the reason he was in Laredo is that he was born in Laredo. My oldest son was born here, like I said, here in San Antonio where we reside. So when my wife told me, I'm going to go to Laredo, visit my mom, I'm going to take my oldest son, and when I come back, I'll go ahead and bring the baby and we'll all be here in San Antonio together. Well, that never happened. She took my oldest boy, Alessandro, and locked herself in her mom's house, and she never came back. In fact, that was when she took off. That was September 17th. On September 27th, 10 days later, because she would always tell me, oh, okay, we'll be back Monday. Monday would come along, oh, no, I'm sorry, we'll be there Wednesday. Wednesday would come along, nothing. No, we'll be there Saturday. And I finally just put my foot down and I said, you know what, I'm a dad. I have rights myself. I'm going to go down there and pick up my sons. And she said, yeah, go ahead. In fact, I have a text message that I will show to you guys. I have text messages between my wife and I where that day was September 27. She actually, and I will put the screenshot closer to the phone, closer to the camera so you can see it. Now this is Friday, September 27th. It's 1:40 p.m. and she texts me, are you coming today? And question mark. So I went ahead and I called her back and I said, yes, I'm getting ready to leave. I think I left like around 3 or 4 p.m. that day. But I called her and I said, yes, I'm going to go pick up my boys. And she said, fine. Never knowing that as soon as I got to her house and I knocked on her door, her dad told me, I'll be right there. And next thing I know, the police officers pull in behind me. And they told me that they couldn't arrest me because I hadn't done anything, but that they had done a no trespassing on that property on me. And I remember explaining to the police officers, my wife is in there with my 2 boys. And I remember the police officer very vividly, because this affected me tremendously. I remember the police officer telling me, well, I just spoke to your wife and she said she's going to file for divorce and that she's going to file for sole custody. And that just almost knocked me to the floor. I remember hurling like I thought I was going to vomit, but nothing would come out because I hadn't had a bite to eat yet. So, but I remember basically just almost getting sick there in front of the police officers. And I remember one police officer telling me, hey, she's saying that you don't have, that you're not supposed to be here today. And I actually showed him that same text message that I showed to you people. And I proved to him, hey, she knows I'm coming in today and she knew I was going to pick up my babies today. So other than that, I don't know why she was saying. But anyways, to cut a short story, to cut a long story short, I will get more into the details of this in other videos. I just wanted to share with you guys what I'm going through. That was September 27th. Like I said, today is March 30th. And we're still in litigation over this. And it has been the hardest thing ever. My first boy, Alessandro, I basically raised him myself. My wife, sorry, I used to call her mom. My wife was the type of mom that she would be at home 3-4 days, but then she would leave 3-4 days. She would come back 3-4 days, she would leave 2 days. She would come back 3-4 days, she would leave sometimes even for a week. And a lot of people told me, wow, why did you let that happen? Well, the thing is that I didn't want her to spend time with my son because, she was the mom. And I don't believe in taking away any parent, either the father or the mother. If they haven't done anything wrong to the child, if they're not on drugs, if they're not criminals, I don't believe in taking away a parent from a child because you're only hurting your child. So I would always beg her, please, please, please come over, see your son. Like his first Thanksgiving, she wasn't here. First Christmas, she wasn't here. So it was very surprising to me, guys, that when we first went to court, right before we went to court, my attorney advised me that the paper that they had submitted is my wife had submitted paper to actually terminate all my parental rights. And she wanted to have her father be the father of my children, adopt them, and she was going to stay on as the mom. Now, I couldn't understand what I was hearing because up to that point, I got along with her parents. In fact, the first 2 weeks in September, the first 10 days in September, I had spent the night at her mom's house because I was helping her father build an extra room. In fact, he stayed with like almost $3,000 of my tools. I never got them back. And not that I'm complaining about the tools, it's that that's how close we were. I don't understand where this came from, where he tries to adopt my children as his own, my two boys. And the reason I came up with this channel is hopefully you guys know. Now the reason I decided to create this channel is I want this channel to be a place where any single parent going through the same thing that I'm going through, a divorce custody battle, maybe we can get together, serve as wisdom, role models, maybe be there for support and advice one another. Because let me tell you something, this is the hardest thing I've ever gone through. I wake up every night crying, and I go to bed crying every night. And like I said, I raised my first son by myself. It's his first year, basically, all by myself. And what really hurts me is that my second son, Maximiliano, I know this is gonna sound bad, but I feel that like I barely know him. It's not enough 2 days from 10 in the morning to 5 o'clock. So it's 4 days a month I get to spend with him. 4 days a month when I got to raise his older brother by myself. It's not right. I wish they would stop my wife from doing this. My sons have no reason to be in Laredo, none whatsoever. And I plan to prove that in court. If you guys have any advice for me, I'm down here in Texas. I reside in San Antonio, Texas. We're having court in Laredo, Texas. If you guys have any advice for me, anything you're willing to share, any similar stories, because this is very, very, very hard. Like I said, I feel in my heart that I was born to be a father. And then this happens to me. This can kill a man. It really can. Especially when it's being done by a wife that always applauded me for being the best father she had ever seen.